11 Summary of the basic quantifier translation patterns so far examined. Before continuing, it is a good idea to review the basic patterns of translation that we have examined so far. These are given as follows. Simple quantification plus negation when everything is bx bx2 something is bx bx3 nothing is bx bx4 something is non-bx bx5 everything is non-bx bx6 not everything is bx bx syllogistic forms plus negation 7 every a is bx x bx 8 some a is bx x and bx 9 no a is bx x and bx 10 some a is not bx x and bx 11 every a is a non-bx x bx 12 not every a is bx x bx. In addition to these, it is important to keep the following logical equivalences in mind when doing translations into predicate logic. Basic logical equivalence is when x x x x2 x x x x3 x x and bx x x bx 4 x x bx x x and bx. In looking over the above patterns, one might wonder why the following is not a correct translation when every a is bx x and bx wrong. The correct translation is given as follows. 2 every a is bx x bx right. Remember, there simply is no general symbol-by-symbol translation between colloquial English and the language of predicate logic. In the correct translation 2, no symbol in the formula corresponds to the is in the colloquial sentence, and no symbol in the colloquial English sentence corresponds to in the formula. The erroneous nature of one becomes apparent as soon as we translate the formula into English, which goes as follows. Everything is such that it is A and it is B. For example, everything is such that it is an astronaut and it is brave. In other words, everything is an astronaut who is brave, or equivalently, everything is a brave astronaut. This is also equivalent to everything is an astronaut and everything is brave. Needless to say, this does not say the same thing as every astronaut is brave. Okay, error works when we have every A is B, but ampersand does not work. So, why doesn't error work just as well in the corresponding statement some A is B? Why isn't the following a correct translation? 3 some A is bx x bx wrong. As noted above, the correct translation is 4 some A is bx x and bx right. Once again, please note that there is no symbol-by-symbol translation between the colloquial English form and the predicate logic formula. Let's see what happens when we translate the formula of 3 into English. The straight translation yields the following 3t. There is at least one thing such that if it is A then it is B. Does this say that some A is B? No. In fact, it is not clear what it says. If the conditional were subjunctive, rather than truth functional, then 3t might correspond to the following colloquial subjunctive sentence. There is someone who would be brave if he were an astronaut. From this, it surely does not follow that there is even a single brave astronaut, or even a single astronaut. To make this clear, consider the following analogous sentence. Some Antarctican is brave. Here, let us understand Antarctican to mean a permanent citizen of Antarctica. This sentence must be carefully distinguished from the following. There is someone who would be brave if she were Antarctican. To say that some Antarctican is brave, to say that there is at least one Antarctican who is brave, from which it obviously follows that there is at least one Antarctican. The sentence some Antarctican is brave logically implies at least one Antarctican exists. By contrast, the sentence there is someone who would be brave if she were Antarctican does not imply that any Antarctican exists. Whether there is such a person who would be brave were he/she to become an Antarctican, I really couldn't say, but I suspect it is probably true. It takes a brave person to live in Antarctica. When we take if-then as a subjunctive conditional, we see very quickly that x x bx simply does not say that some A is B. What happens if we insist that if-then is truth functional? In that case, the sentence x x bx is automatically true, so long as we can find someone who is not Antarctican. Suppose that Smith is not Antarctican. Then the sentence Smith is Antarctican is false, and hence the conditional sentence if Smith is Antarctican, then Smith is brave is true. Why? Because of the truth table for if-then. But if Smith is such that if he is Antarctican then he is brave, then at least one person is such that if he is Antarctican then he is brave. Thus, the following existential sentence is true. There is someone such that if he is Antarctican, then he is brave. We conclude this section by presenting the following rule of thumb about how symbolizations usually go. Of course, in saying that it is a rule of thumb, all one means is that it works quite often, not that it works always. Rule of thumb not absolute. If one has a universal formula, then the connective immediately beneath the universal quantifier is a conditional. If one has an existential formula, then the connective immediately beneath the existential quantifier is a conjunction. The slogan that goes with this reads as follows: universal conditional existential conjunction. Remember, this is just a rule of thumb. There are numerous exceptions, which will be presented in subsequent sections.